So there's currently a plan out to expand the Montrose quarry by 30 acres and run it for another 32 years. A group of locals are protesting the plans, and their biggest issue, not the noise, not the trucks, but the microscopic dust. In October, Boral announced the expansion plans for its Montrose quarry, which would increase the boundary by about 30 acres. This would provide access to about 26 million tonnes of additional material over about 32 years. Boral has since submitted a referral for the planning minister to consider if an environment effects statement, EES, an in-depth analysis of a project's environmental impacts would be required before plans could be approved. Much of the public revolt to the project has surrounded dust and other debris caused by digging, specifically silica. According to University of Sydney occupational epidemiologist Professor Tim Driscoll, silica is a naturally occurring substance found in most rocks. Silicosis, a disease many in the community have told me they're worried about, is caused by inhaling silica dust and can lead to scarring of the lungs, a reduction in a person's ability to convert oxygen to carbon dioxide, and possibly other chronic lung diseases or cancer. Professor Driscoll told me developing silicosis was more likely to be a concern for those working in the site than nearby residents or school children.
I wouldn't say the risk is zero, but I wouldn't consider it a high risk for the people living around the quarry. And if the quarry has appropriate dust control measures, then that risk should be, I would expect, to be very low. As an issue for the general public, they should not worry about developing silicosis, I think, because it's very unlikely that in a non-occupational setting people would get enough exposure.
However, locals aren't convinced, and Monbulk MP Daniela Di Martino told me that she's been slammed with emails about it, and she thinks the proximity of schools and childcare centres means the project needs a deeper environmental study. A Boral spokesperson said the impacts of airborne dust would be avoided, minimised or managed to meet the required standards to protect both workers and nearby residents from any harm, and that a number of dust management measures were already being undertaken. Back in May 2023, the Melbourne Magistrates Court fined Boral $180 grand and required they pay more than $13 grand in court costs after atmospheric monitoring found a number of workers had been exposed to levels of crystalline silica exceeding workplace exposure standards. As for this quarry expansion, ultimately the decision is with Planning Minister Sonia Kilkenny, who is able to single-handedly approve it due to recent changes to the state's planning provisions and could even fast-track the process.